Hello and welcome back to Vanessa's podcast. For anybody who doesn't know me, please scroll down, go check out my website, my page, like, comment, and get to know me and get to know my company as well. So today I'm dedicating this episode to my French roots and all the great memories that I have from France. And so I'm gonna get started. So to just give you a brief resume, my mother is French. She was from Paris, and my father was from Connecticut. But he had 3 houses, so they live in New Jersey, Connecticut, and I'm not sure where else. His family side had a French camp that was located in Deer Island in Maine, where my father and mother met. I believe she was in her 20s when she went to camp and met my father, who was then monitor, a sailor monitor. So I grew up in a tiny little village called Thoiry, and in that village back then there was 700 inhabitants. So you can make sure that everyone knew everybody and everybody knew everything about everybody. And the other great thing about coming from a small town is that you make a lot of friends, and there's always wonderful moral support, and you always have somebody here you can talk to about your problems, and you feel safe. And you feel safe because everybody's here to cheer you on. Most people know when there's somebody new coming to town, and when we had things happening in our little town, and everybody gets excited. So it was a great place to grow up, really. And I lived there until I was 19 and a half, and I moved to the US and went back to France twice, and in vacation too, and to live as well. I tried to see if I was missing anything, trying to reconnect with this part of me. At the time, I was very young, still confused. I didn't know where I belonged, so it just didn't go as well as I wish it would. So altogether, I can say that I have lived in the US I am now 39 years old, so you do the math. So from 20 basically, because when I arrived I was 19 and a half, and basically we were just in vacation exploring. So that's from 20 to 39, that's 19 years, and I went back a total of almost 2 years. So I can say that I live in US for 18 years exactly. Now, I didn't stay in Florida for all those 18 years. I spent about 7 years in Washington State, 6 months in Oregon in between when I was in Washington State. I lived in Nevada for 6 months. I did a road trip under very scary circumstances. This was the road trip that I was dreaming of for many years, and it's funny how things goes in life. I ended up doing the road trip that I always wanted, but I ended up doing it all by myself under a very scary circumstance. But I can say that at least I got to see what I wanted to see and get to experience a lot during that road trip. So I don't regret anything. I think that everything happened for a reason, and sometimes we don't always understand what are the reasons, but there's always a lesson to be learned, and it's for us to try to understand what that reason is, and what we learn from it, either if it was good or bad, there's always going to be something to be learned, and to advance from it, to gain more knowledge, and then and it brings you closer to your dream. And sometimes we get lost. We are human, and sometimes we have to put all the missing puzzle piece together and try to make a sense of our life. And when we accomplish that, then we're able to see and to understand everything that has happened to us. Like in my situation, it took me a while. When I got lost for a while, it took me a while to understand certain things. I was always wondering why me, poor me. I did felt a lot of guilt, which I should haven't felt in the first place. I didn't even know why I was carrying so much guilt. And then I was angry. I was angry at the world, and I was angry that I was not where I wanted to be, because I knew how I was, and how of a go-getter I am, and how I never stop. I never stop going after things. I never surrender, basically. And so I always move. So I was in the blue a little bit, wondering why am I in that zone? What happened? And when you come to that place and you wonder what happened, it's usually too late. You're kind of getting lost. And so, yeah, it's complicated, but I think everybody has their own story, and that's the beauty of life, of us human on this planet. It's to share our stories, And so, I remember my best years in France. I miss it sometime. I remember loving watching movies, the shows, the music, my friends, the vacation that I had there. Of course, it changed a lot over the years since I moved out from the country. Things have changed, people have changed, of course. So it's really hard when you come from one place and then you split in half and go live the rest of your life as an adult in another country. It's very different, and sometimes it can be the end of your life as you knew it, and it's really hard to adapt. Why? Because it's a complete new world. If you're just stopping by or visiting, it's a different thing. Now, if you, let's say, you are going to go to China for a job or something for 6 months, you're gonna adapt somehow, but it's just for a job opportunity. You're gonna learn everything you have to learn, you're going to experience everything, but 6 months won't give you enough, insight to actually know what it's like to actually live there, to understand the culture and the people. And so you can spend a year and you still not get there. It takes a lot of years to actually understand everything to its core, about people, about the country, about how it works. And so for me, it took me about 5 years to really be integrated as an American, and think and feel, and maybe even more than that, maybe even 7 years it took me. I think for the first 7 years, I was still living my life as a French person, thinking like a French person. And after that, I probably slowly started to think more American, speak English most of the time, kind of slowly starting to disconnect with my French roots. And I did disconnect for a very long time. beside a small little chat I will have with some old acquaintance from France. But I was to the point where I watched 1 or 2 movies a year in French speaking, and everything I was doing was always in English. The books I was reading, the magazine I was reading, I never even bother looking at the news. Like I said, it would be a one-time thing a year. So for years, I disconnected. And after trying to go back and it didn't go the way I wanted, I got to the point I didn't want to hear about France. I didn't want to know. I didn't want anything to remind me of that part of my life, and so I just kind of shut it down. But once in a while, if I came across a movie, like I'll rent movies from a library, and then I'll see like what's going on a little bit by watching new movies and stuff, and I always enjoy it. I was like, there was something inside me. It was telling me like you're part of this world too. Don't forget it. And I remember just really feeling connected with the character and the movies and the actors and feeling like a great feeling about it. So after maybe this last 4 years, I kind of got back into the French culture and learning a little bit more, like trying to read more about what's going on in France, and just reading, more magazines, or just even starting to write, which is something you think that I'll do every day, write in French, but I don't. I barely never write in French. So for me to start doing that was a big step. I started to say, okay, I need to start, writing in French and reading some French book a little bit, which I don't really do very often. Just read some poetry, like really short text. And when I got into publishing my French poetry book, then I got a little bit more connected, a little bit more and more. And I know each time I was looking at something inspiring, like in the artistic world, in the theater world in France, this was always something that I wanted to be part of, that I was missing. I felt like this is where my love for the theater, for acting, and for writing started. It started when I was there, and mainly in that theater school when I was 14, and I can never forget that. And even all the philosophy and all the literature I ever learned was always from France, and all my history and everything I ever knew was from there. And I was like, I can't shut that down. I have to include that. And so I really have done that lately, and I just feel good about it. I don't have any more negative feeling about it, and I feel like I'm at peace with my roots, and I'm proud to be American, and I'm proud to be French, and I encourage anybody if you from two different countries like this, that you should always have a split in half love for both countries that you're from. And I'm just appreciative for all the things that I have came across, and the chance that I had, all the opportunity that I had, and all the wonderful friends and people that I have met in my life. I think I can never regret that. I think life is a journey and not a destination, and I think that's the main message. And we have to remind ourselves that